Good evening, cult members, and welcome to the Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
And this is the big show. The really big shoe of...
I was trying not to say that because we do that every time.
I know. Yeah, it's true. This is episode... I'm actually going to go back and do math. We're just going to start the... We're going to do what every comic book did in the 90s, which is every time we had a new run of a new artist or story runner or whatever, they just started with a new number one. So I'm just going to start with a podcast era. I'm just going to go back from that and do the math forward. And so we're on episode fill in the blank.
Eventually, someday we'll be back to having numbers again.
We'll work on it. So we've talked about this, about the no real news kind of going on.
Yeah.
And before I started doing the notes, I was like, there's really no news. And then I got through about 7 stories, and I'm like, okay, I'm running out of time because I'm only going to do a half an hour. All right, so let's get into it. We talked about it last week. The rumors were true. Andy Serkis is officially going to direct Venom 2.
Yep.
He posted a picture on Instagram announcing it with him with the comic in hand saying, let's go. So everybody's super excited from what I can read on the internet. And
okay, cool. I hope that we like it better than we liked the first one.
yes, and we talked about this last week that we need to revisit that maybe with fresher eyes and different eyes and stuff. But I'm really excited that Andy Serkis is getting something like this. So he has a vision of what he wants to do.
Yeah, well, and it's awesome that he's getting to branch out from something other than mocap. I mean, I really liked him in Black Panther, and so
an underrated role was The Prestige.
Was he in The Prestige?
He's Nikolai Tesla's assistant.
Assistant?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Schmodown. I'm ready, bitches.
Yeah, but I mean, he can't get a freaking Oscar for mocap, so maybe he can get one for directing.
Yeah. And one of the articles I read today, this afternoon, was actor turned filmmaker. And I'm like, he was a filmmaker first, and then became a mocap actor, and then came back around to directing, and so it's pretty
man of many talents.
Yes. They back on the It Chapter 2 conversation, because that's a big deal in our house. They announced today that they are de-aging some of the kids because it took them so long to. And the reason I bring it up is because of Janice's face for those on the podcast feed, but.
Screen Junkies were, half of Screen Junkies today were losing their ever-loving minds over this. And the other half was like, yeah, because specifically Finn. They de-aged Finn.
He's like 8 feet tall now.
Right, and that's the deal. And they're like, where's this going to stop? Are they going to de-age babies? And it's like, come on. This is supposed to be, then, like when chapter 1 happened and now 2, it's supposed to be the same time, but it's been 2 years and they're kids and they grow, and so stop freaking out. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not the end of the world that they are doing this. And it's okay that they're doing this because as much as they wanted it to hit as well as it did, they did the right thing. And we're going to put all of our efforts into this and not even try to set up a second one. Now, we all know that there should have been a setup for 2, but they put all of the money in the 1. So when they did that, they didn't film the kids doing stuff, and they didn't even know if they're going to be able. They were talking about a Kaleido Live for a little bit, and I was just like, no, Riley had this. Listen, are we ever going to have actors again? The possibilities of using de-aging is going to change everybody's perspective when we get to The Irishman. And having actors be able to play themselves instead of having a younger actor play that version of themselves.
Right. Yeah.
And be able to tell these long-form, extended stories because you're going to be able to de-age them or up-age them depending on which way you need to go. And that kind of that ability in storytelling, I think, is a fantastic.
Yeah, especially for actors that have been in the business for a long time.
Yeah.
So you know what they looked like when they were younger.
Michael Douglas and
Yeah,
Will
and
Smith
yeah,
and
Al Pacino and all
yeah.
those guys, you know what they looked like. So when they have to get somebody to play them in their 20s or 30s or whatever, it's like, I know I know what they looked like.
Right.
And sometimes you're like, oh, they did a good job finding somebody that kind of looked like them. But how about
the good example of that was Looper, where they got Joseph
yeah.
Gordon-Levitt. They kind of changed his facial structure with makeup to look like a younger Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
But that was like 1 in a million kind of thing.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know that that's a good example because I know what Joseph Gordon-Levitt looks like, and I know what Bruce Willis looks like,
Yeah.
and so I just kept staring at Joseph Gordon-Levitt's face, going,
Your nose
"What
is
is wrong?" And his eyes
his
are the
eyes.
wrong color. I'm like,
They're
"What is
wrong
wrong with
color.
your face?"
We're gonna do a full-on dissertation about Looper now. Movie's amazing, by the way. We just got done filming our what was supposed to be a short review, but ended up into a longer conversation of Another Life on Netflix. I'm going to add that to the end of this video. It's a non-spoiler review, so go watch our review.
Yep.
And if that doesn't convince you to go watch the show, just get on Katie Sackhoff's social media stuff, and she will tell you that you need to be watching this show.
Go watch the show.
Because I need to know what
amazing.
the fuck happens in season 2.
Right.
So you all need to watch the show so I can find out what happens.
Right. I can't not know.
You can't leave it there.
I need
Come
to
on,
know.
Netflix, you're throwing money and everything. Just do season 2. Let's talk about, we went on Friday, it was Friday.
Yep.
And saw Hobbs and Shaw.
Yep.
Sorry. Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw. We're going to do a non-spoiler review.
Yeah.
Yes, there's some stuff that happens that is spoilery. There's several cameos from several different people that you don't expect.
Yeah.
But it's a ridiculousness of Fast and Furious with Dwayne Johnson and Jason Statham.
Yeah. Yeah. When we left, I was like, I don't, it didn't feel super Fast and Furious-y to me. Yes, there was cars, but I guess that's maybe it. Like, in Fast and Furious, cars are
Right.
like,
There's like another character.
Another character, yeah. And yes, there were cars in it, and they did some, crazy stuff you see in the trailer where they've got them all hooked up and then hooked up to a helicopter.
Yeah,
But cars were not forefront in this at all. And so, it was fun, but it just didn't.
It was a Hobbs and Shaw movie. It wasn't a Fast and Furious movie.
Yes.
And the only reason I say it that way is because it's about Dwayne and Jason's characters and their chemistry and them doing something together. And it just happens to be that the characters they're playing are known characters from the Fast and the Furious universe.
Yeah, universe. Yeah, because Hobbs has never been a car character in the Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
He's the cop.
And he's driving a freaking monster truck in one, and
like a Hummer or something
yeah.
in one, and Shaw is more cars because his brother.
They do have that car scene in the basement. They kind of showed it in the trailer too.
Yeah, his car collection and stuff. But it was fun. There was there was one cameo that kind of fell flat. For everybody, nobody in the theater laughed when they were supposed to be, and there was a couple of continuity things, but
if you're worried about continuity and thespian acting and there's a level of disbelief, you need to leave at the door.
The two that come to mind, and I won't say what they are, were so jarring that I actually normally
she audibly said something at the one.
Yeah. I was like, what?
Luckily, we're in the aisle by ourselves.
Yeah. So, that was a little. I don't, as Christian uh, loves to say it pulled me out of the moment. What kind of moment you're having in Hobbs and Shaw,
Right,
but
right.
it did pull me out of the movie because it was so I was like, what just happened?
Right, right. I, 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 as much as I was having this conversation with one of the guys I work with, and I was saying I can go from something like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and appreciate the writing and the directing and the nuance and all that stuff. And one week, and then the very next week, I can shut my brain off and eat popcorn the entire time and watch two guys beat the shit out of each other and a bunch of bad guys and oodle over Idris Elba like everybody else on the planet does. And there's cool chase scenes and there's helicopters and world travel and like I can disconnect from both. And so for me, there's a couple. This one, I'm not gonna break any ground here, and we're gonna buy it because we have all the Fast and Furious movies, and I love them all, and I love this one. But for what I wanted and what I and when we got it, and what we got,
look it up,
aren't quite lined up correctly. Like a couple of the gears are just off a little bit. That's not saying that the movie isn't fun. The movie is way fun. I'm not saying too that I didn't get a lot of the stuff that I wanted. I got a lot of the stuff that I wanted. It's just there's a couple different things where I was like, that's a little too far. Even that's a little too far. That that cameo just doesn't work for me, and I like that particular person. This one just kind of seemed like I'm throwing a bone to a friend kind of cameo. But all that being said, I would watch it again right now.
Yeah, I don't know that I would pay money. We've said this before. We're a little spoiled. We have the A+, so we A list. We go. It's because it's an A+ and then list. Anyway, so I don't know how I would feel if I spent $16 a person to go see this, but
right.
But yeah, we'll own it. I'm sure we'll watch it when it comes on TV and all that.
There's a three-way fight scene between Idris Elba, Dwayne Johnson, and Jason Statham. That is part of it is in the trailer. It's the first fight scene, and that is like cinematic gold for me. Like in the street, all the stuff's going on, and that was that's what I want, but with a few more cool cars and stuff like that. And overall, I really liked it. Overall, I think you liked it.
Yep.
Score?
I'm gonna say a 2.75, and it feels low, but I mean it's a Hobbs and Shaw. I mean, for what I was expecting, it was fine.
Right.
I wasn't disappointed. It was good. Was it groundbreaking? No. Was there a couple of flat spots, a couple of consistency things? Yeah. Whatever.
I'm at 3.25.
Okay.
Partly because of that scene, and partly because we have found a new action star in Vanessa Kirby. Kirby. She needs to be in. She's like Rebecca Ferguson in the Mission Impossible movies, where you didn't know that she could do that, or Emily Blunt.
Oh yeah.
Emily Blunt was another person where you're like, I didn't know that could come out of that little person.
Yeah.
And but Vanessa Kirby was. We were telling our real estate agent when we were getting our keys over the weekend that I may have swooned a little, and
she's got giant, gorgeous eyes.
Yeah, and she's a badass. She was doing a lot of the stuff what the guys were doing, so I thought that was a lot of fun. And so more of her, more of Hobbs and Shaw, and then when we get Furious 8 is that what they're working on now? Maybe we'll get a cameo from everybody and they can reconnect the universe. And we're getting another Hobbs and Shaw. It made $180 million worldwide over the weekend.
But it was the lowest grossing Fast and Furious.
Okay. Domestically, Domestically, it made $60 million, and that's the lowest opening of a Fast and Furious movie since Tokyo Drift. Now, I personally think Tokyo Drift does a lot better than what people gave it.
Yeah.
The last scene is shot in the dark, and that's an issue for me. But
I think Tyrese just needs to.
Tyrese needs to just shut the fuck up.
He's a third layer character in this movie franchise, and he just makes himself look stupid every time he.
Yeah, and he was just saying how, because Dwayne and Vin Diesel had like apparently a real life feud going on with each other.
Yeah.
And no details of that ever came out. The rumor was for a long time that they were setting up a WrestleMania event.
Yeah.
Which would have been really awesome, and then it never really materialized and stuff like that. And so the idea that they were doing this kind of made up feud, and then it became a real feud, and that kind of what led to Hobbs and Shaw. But let's be honest, after the last movie and seeing Hobbs and Shaw do stuff together, everybody was asking for this movie.
Yeah.
So might as well just go for it. And so
stop.
It made $180 million worldwide, and it hasn't opened in China yet.
Yeah.
And it's gonna do really well in China. So it's made its money back. We haven't gotten to the advertising yet, but they're gonna make enough to make another one of these. And did they set up a second one?
Yes, they did.
I love that story arc because I think that guy, he's gonna be a bad guy, and that would be awesome.
Yeah. One of the guys at work went and saw it. You know who it is. Said the exact same thing, and I'm like, that's funny. My husband said that too.
Yes. That is it. They haven't said anything. That's gonna be the bad guy. I'm telling you, that's gonna be the bad guy. We got three other stories that we need to get into, and we have 13 minutes.
All right.
Hulu. This story broke this afternoon, and I put the story in here because I have tons of questions. Hulu and the production company Bleecker Street have reached a deal where Bleecker Street movies will now go to Hulu sooner rather than later. So normally you have to wait a certain amount of time for something to show up on Netflix, or with all the streaming war stuff that's coming, with HBO and all that stuff. They're starting with Hotel Mumbai with Armie Hammer and Dev Patel. Dev Patel?
Yeah.
That's going to come out here very shortly. They didn't put a date, but like in the fall.
I think we've seen something about this. I know we've seen something about it.
But what they're saying is shortly thereafter, we're getting The Art of Self-Defense, which is in theaters right now, which I really, really want to see.
Yeah, I do too.
And Teen Spirit with Ellie Fanning and Rebecca Hall, also really important. And they were saying that this is kind of a unique situation with Hulu and a production company, it's like A24 or Blumhouse or whatever, a smaller company.
Yeah, it's an indie company, yeah.
And so they're still going to do their wide national theater releases, but now it's going to go to the streaming service within a month or two instead of waiting 6-8 months for the DVDs and everything else like that.
Well, and I guess they kind of were able to, a little bit of proof of concept with Get Out, and that there was another one on Amazon about it was like the guy goes to Mexico for work, and then he gets into the drug.
Get the Gringo?
Yeah.
The Gringo?
Get to the Gringo, or Get the Gringo, or whatever.
Yeah.
Which it was a horrible movie, but they have done that. Amazon's kind of done that with a couple of movies now. So that
I think it's
sets
a really
everybody
cool.
else up.
I like that Bleecker Street does these really cool indie small movies, and now we're gonna be able to see them. Because sometimes the indies, even though we live in Phoenix area, sometimes it's really hard for us to get some of these indie movies. Like The Art of Self-Defense has got one showing within a 20-mile radius of our house, and that's kind of like, I get why that's happening because they want to put something like Hobbs and Shaw in,
Right.
which is okay. But in return, I want to see this movie.
Yeah, I do too.
And I want to support movies like this. We're making a point to go see Peanut Butter Falcon.
Yeah.
Again, a small movie from a small production company, but it's getting a lot more push because it's getting some really good word of mouth, and so is Art of Defense.
Yeah.
And so it's encouraging to me that they're actually willing to put these on a streaming service quicker to get those stories out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Get them out
And
there.
it's just another weapon in the streaming wars that's coming.
Yeah.
Or that we're in the beginning stages of it.
Yeah.
My question, though, is Disney has controlling interest in Hulu.
Right.
And a lot of people were saying that Hulu was going to be the risque, I don't want to say risque, the more adult streaming part of the Disney Plus service.
Okay.
So does this mean Bleecker Street's in bed with Disney? Or was this deal already being worked out before the Disney buy came in? I have questions on it. It's just giving us another platform for us to go out and get good stories and stuff like that, which is really what I want. But
I would like to think, because I don't want Disney to swallow up everything that's out there. I would like
they
to.
are the empire.
I
So.
know. I would like to think that it's just a mutual agreement, that they're not gonna come in and engulf Bleecker Street and all those other small indie companies.
And I'm cool with if they want to have a partnership.
Yeah.
And not necessarily a buying and owning kind of thing.
Right.
I think that's a really good way of putting it.
Yeah.
But I like this idea overall. And now it makes our conversation even more difficult because we are talking about maybe getting rid of Hulu if they're going to have stuff like this come on.
Yeah, I mean, if they are, just right now, we got the 99 cents a month for a year deal because we had never had Hulu before, and we really haven't watched it other than Castle Rock.
Runaways.
Oh, and Runaways, yeah.
And what was the one with, the other one that we watched the first season that we really liked?
Yeah.
What was that? Future Man.
Was it Future Man?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, but we didn't really watch any more of that. But yeah, if they're gonna do this, we might reconsider.
Right, we're gonna reconsider, and we're gonna get HBO Plus and Disney Plus, and Netflix and Amazon.
HBO Max.
Or HBO Max. HBO Max, Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, Amazon, and oh, by the way, I need stuff for football. So. Let's talk about Gal Gadot. Gal Gadot has been confirmed to be playing Hedy Lamarr in a Showtime mini. Hedy Lamarr. Sorry,
Lamarr.
Hedy Lamarr in a miniseries for Showtime. If you don't know who Hedy Lamarr is, even if I can't say her name correctly, she was a pretty famous actress in the 40s. Yep. She was probably more famous for being famous than actually being the movie. Like, she's more famous than the movie she was in. Is probably the best way to explain it.
Yeah. I mean, I totally know who Hedy Lamarr is, and I can see her. I mean, I know what she looks like, but I couldn't tell you what she's in.
But more importantly, she was really one of the first smart. This is gonna sound so bad, but smart actresses. She helped develop the radar to help subs in the Atlantic and jamming radar and doing
for World War
II. Yeah. And everybody makes a big deal out of people like Natalie Portman, who went to Harvard, and Minnie Driver, who went to Yale, and they have engineering degrees, and what's her name from Big Bang Theory, who's an astrophysicist.
Yeah.
And they're like, how can these people be, great actresses? I'm making a point of saying actresses and not actors. How can they be great actresses and still be this super smart? Well, Hedy Lamarr was Hedy Lamarr. There's no L. There's an L in the last name, and that's why I keep Hedy Lamarr was really the first one to kind of be like this, like known publicly.
I don't know how public it actually was, because this was a point in time when, you know, sweater actresses,
Yeah.
not Marilyn Manson.
Marilyn Monroe.
No, oh, I can't think of what her name is. Jean Mansfield.
No, okay, yeah.
The tight sweaters and the bullet bras,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just shut up and smile and look pretty, and pun intended. I think that part of her life flew under the radar. I think it was all because it wasn't something that she couldn't go out there and say, "Hey, I'm this genius," because it would completely intimidate. This was casting couches and and all that stuff, and so
the studio system was still in place, and
So I don't know how well known it actually was at the time that.
Yeah,
that
I think
she
it was well after the war. It was like 60s and 70s when it really came out.
Yeah,
I don't know for sure. I know some of the story, but I don't know all of the story.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm really excited about this series. Now they were talking about today on Collider Live that, like, is she a good choice? She looks just like her.
Yeah.
Like they redo the hair a little bit and change the makeup, and she looks just like her.
I think it's a great choice.
But I like this is going to be an 8-episode series about her life, and it's going to be like kind of talking about her dealing with being an actress in the 40s. Oh, by the way, she's super smart, and so she helps out with this part and all that stuff. The other thing that was cool about the article I came across, they talked about Gal Gadot's work that's coming up right now. Obviously, she's got Batman 84, Wonder Woman 84. Actually, it would be cool if she was in Batman 84. Wonder Woman 84, which comes out June 2020. She's in Death on the Nile with Annette Bening and Armie Hammer. That cast is becoming amazing. And she's in Red Notice alongside Dwayne Johnson and Ryan Reynolds.
Huh. I Red Notice.
It's like a spy thriller, and it's going straight to Netflix. It's part of one of the Netflix movies.
Okay.
But it's got the 3 of them in it, so she's very busy.
Yeah.
And then they're going to throw this 8-episode series in there too.
Yeah.
So I just think it's really cool that Gal is a really back to the Fast and the Furious. We really kind of got to know her in Fast 5. And she was a badass, and we got to know her, and then she became Wonder Woman, and now everybody's like, oh, wait, she can act.
Yeah.
Oh, she's pretty, and she was actually in the military and kick your ass in real life. So all of that jazz. But they're telling this story, and this is a story that needs to be told for women to see you can be smart and pretty and be an actress and do all this other stuff all at the same time.
Yeah.
So that story is important for today's climate.
Yeah.
And it's a story that nobody's told yet. So there you go. If you're complaining about there's nothing new out there in the world, here's a bio series about it. So.
Yep.
We're not even going to get to the last story. Chris Pine's going to play Walter Cronkite.
What?
Oh my God.
What?
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it at a later date when it gets closer, because I'm all over this. So that is our show this week. I'm not going to call it what we normally call it. This is episode... I'll figure it out later. What did you guys think of this week's news, notes, and other stuff? Tell us what you thought of Hobbs and Shaw. Are you looking forward to Hedy Lamarr?
Yay!
Mashura Ali. No,
yeah, you got it. Mashura Ali. Yep.
That's it. Subscribe to the channel. Help us out on Patreon. Like this video, leave us notes and comments, be nice, and we're on all the social media stuff. All the links for all that some fun stuff is in the description down below, or if you're listening to us on the podcast, in the description as it is. Thank you very much. I'm going to go to bed now. Good night now.